Started.
Recording in progress.
All right, welcome everybody. Super excited to have this chance to talk with you tonight. My name is Shawn Poe. I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota with my wife, Michelle. We've been involved in LifeVantage for a little over 14, almost 15 years now, and it changed absolutely every aspect of our lives. Prior to LifeVantage, I was in the corporate environment, and what I was finding was the higher I climbed up that corporate ladder, the more it was crushing my soul. I honestly, if I'm being truthful, I wasn't the husband I should have been. I wasn't the dad I should have been. I spent a lot of my life on airplanes and in hotel rooms. And I'll tell a little bit more about that journey here in a bit. But I am so happy to get to introduce you guys tonight to Dr. Melody Rodarte. She's not only an amazing physician, but she's just an amazing human. What her and her husband do for other people, we're just smiling all the time about the impact that they make. She's double board certified, you guys, in internal and obesity medicine. Now she's been voted Phoenix Top Doctor 7 times, certified in wound care, hyperbaric medicine, aesthetics, bioidentical hormones. She's been married to Tony for 27 years now and mama to 2 adult twins. They love to travel the world. We love to travel the world with them. And then LifeVantage helped her retire her husband from 20 years in law enforcement, and they launched both a nonprofit and then also her own practice to help people. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Melody.
Thank you so much. This is always exciting to do this with you, Shawn, and mad respects for you and Michelle. You guys are definitely just angels on earth as well. And I just want to say good evening to all of you, and I'm excited. I haven't done a bigger presentation in a while because I've been doing more one-on-one things, and tonight I'm excited. Shawn and I and Michelle were talking, and I thought, oh, we'll just keep this simple and short, and it just comes down to a lot of times people are like, no, we want to kind of hear the whole thing. So I hope you are ready for that tonight. I'm going to be doing my the activators, my favorite topics, my main things that I love to talk about. And so I'm going to share my slide and just I swear every time Shawn and I present, at times there's something that happens in the air and it's emotional. And so if I get that way today, I will. But my good friend, my best friend's father-in-law made it through a procedure. I've been worried all day. And it just goes to show, like, doing life together is a blessing. Health is a blessing. And when last night we're praying over him with knowing that whatever happens today, we will be okay with, and then seeing the beauty of just miracles today is just, I hope that you are buckled in, because this is what the products are tonight that you will see, and the teamwork that you can join in, because I'm going to tell you, I'm a physician. I didn't know stuff like this existed, and I am so excited to be a part of this company and to know about these products. And so thankful that my colleague wanted me to know about this 10 years ago. So, okay, enough of that. I blabber, I'll probably cry, so I won't do that. I'm gonna just share my screen and do what I love to do, which is teach, okay? So thank you. So this is what I talk to everybody, whether you're in the grocery store line with me or in front of me as a patient. I want my patients to take control of their health. I want them to slow down the aging process. And that is something I do myself. I want to grow older. I want to be into my 90s running around with my great-grandchildren. I don't want to have someone taking care of me. I want to be on the tennis court. I want to live life. So if that is something that, you want to do as well, this is the perfect opportunity to listen in. So we're going to hear me say a lot today. We take it to make it. Our bodies are incredible. Our cells are even more incredible. And you can actually activate your cells to produce its own and release its own antioxidants and proteins and enzymes and peptides. Yes, you heard me say the word peptide, okay? And so that is the key to this, is we are taking an item in order to make an item, which is really, really important. So why might you want to be listening to me, or you want to share this? Because chronic disease and obesity, you heard Shawn talk about me being an internal medicine physician. That means I take care of adults, and an obesity medicine physician. And so I see this every single day. 1 in 6 Americans have a chronic disease. So 80% will have one disease, 68% will have two, and 2/3 of America is either overweight or obese. And the numbers for our children are just staggering. So if you're like me, you were like, can I change the way I age? Can I have an influence on the way I age? And can I change what I'm exposed to in order to reduce that chance? Well, hopefully as you listen to this, you're going to be able to say yes to all of those questions, because we have those tools for you. You do not have to allow genetic expression to happen. Your lifestyle, no matter what age you are watching this, you can turn back the clock, and you can also slow down the clock as you age. And so the main part here is on the left-hand side, we know the aging process is secondary to oxidative stress. And depending on your gene expression, it's going to look different for you and me. In my family lineage, there's diabetes that happens late, like in their 80s and 90s. There's high cholesterol that starts kind of early. There are so many things that I can tell you that my grandparents and parents have had. So my goal was, what are things that I can do now to reduce the chance of developing those? So you might be looking around on this wheel and thinking, I have this, or this runs in my family. But I'm here to tell you that it does not have to happen in you, and it doesn't need to progress. So every cell makes up a tissue, makes up your organ, makes up your body, and it's all connected. And so you want to get all the way down to the cellular level and reduce your oxidative stress. And so one of the ways that you can do it is through using nutrigenomic products, and that's where initially I'll tell you the lifestyle matters, because your nutrition can also turn on genes. But you can also use products that are nutrigenomics in their activity and in their action inside your body. And that can help with cellular signaling, and it can help with gene activation. And when I talk about activation, it's the upregulation and the downregulation that happens in our genes. So you don't always want genes turned on, and you don't want all of them turned off. So it's that natural balance that's happening that's really, really important. So those of you who have been invited to this webinar, hopefully you've seen the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. If you have not, you can definitely ask for it after this, and you can watch it. But this is what was shared with me 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. And I got to watch John Quinones talk about a product on a primetime investigative report, because they were claiming they reduced oxidative stress. And so the beautiful part about it is, instead of debunking the company, his blood work even showed an increased results than what you see on this slide. And multiple universities said, okay, we need to study this product. I'll tell you, for me, that night after I watched that ABC Primetime, I logged on to PubMed. When I did in 2014, I saw 16 peer-reviewed studies, and my jaw dropped, because I was already doing wound care at that time, and I knew about nutrition and IVs, and was helping my patients in that realm. I was also looking for something to help my son and a few family members. And I couldn't stop reading, because there was something on PubMed where I could type in Protandim, and I could see these studies. And tonight, if you do it, you're going to see over 30 studies now that are out there. So that's what lit my fire to continue on this journey and know what this product called Protandim was all about. And so I'm going to tell you, I was already using some of these ingredients that you see in the middle, but this is what Protandim is made of. Milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. And some of you might already be taking them, but you didn't even know that this blend existed. And it's like the perfect proprietary blend that is patented and have the studies on this finished product, okay? And it has 2 seals of approval that are important, the BSCG and the NSF. I look for those types of things because if I'm going to recommend something to someone, I want that to know a third party has validated what's inside the bottle. That's the important part, okay? And so what we're doing with taking Protandim is we are activating the NRF2 pathway. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to tell you my favorite activators. This is my first one. I tell people I will go to my grave taking this. You cannot pry it out of my hands. And it's because it lowers oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. It increases key antioxidants that our body makes, like superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione. I want a huge shout out to glutathione. How many of you have been recently, one, you probably learned about this term when COVID was around. And then in this past week, 2 weeks, you've probably heard about glutathione again. You know its importance with reducing inflammation inside of our body. And so what this is doing is supporting our body's natural ability to restore and rejuvenate. We want homeostasis. So that's another word I talk about with a lot of people. Homeostasis is that natural balance where things are good overall. And so you're actually helping neutralize 1 million free radicals at a time by taking this yellow tablet. So you might hear us talk about taking your yellow tablet. And the difference here is there's a difference between supplementation and activation. This is a perfect slide for it, okay? I want you to still eat your blueberries. I want you to eat a healthy diet because you eating a poor diet and unprocessed foods actually increases your oxidative stress. So you need to already have good nutrition on board. I'm an obesity medicine doc. I'm going to tell you, eat your vegetables. But how many of you can eat like 400 oranges in a day? I wouldn't want you to. Your blood sugar will go through the roof, okay? But so you can't eat enough food to neutralize 1 million free radicals a second. And when you take Protandim, that's what's happening in your body. So that's the key part. And it's not one and done. It continues to neutralize free radicals. And that's why it's an activator. You're not just supplementing here. And so I like this slide. I'm a science geek because a lot of people will tell me, can I just go get these from, such and such store? And I'll tell them, sure. They do have some NRF2 activation by themselves. Maybe you can figure out the right proprietary blend. But for me, I would rather take something that's proven, especially when it's been shown to be 18 times more efficient than taking it separately or in some other concoction. So, yep, I'm straightforward, so I'm throwing that word out there. So this is why I will take this till the day I die. And this is the other reason, because Washington State University said about this pathway that it's potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. 2 of my favorite words, therapeutic and preventative, and it's all natural. I guess 3 words then. So I'm going to kind of tell you about another activator here. How many of us have heard about mitochondria, mitochondrial health, the powerhouse of the cell makes ATP? Well, unfortunately, as we age, our mitochondria get kind of sick. They don't work as well. It might look like brain fog or low energy. There's just a lot of symptoms that can come along when we don't have healthy mitochondria. And so what this is an NRF1 activator. You can see the ingredients right there in the middle. And what we're doing is helping increase our cellular energy process called ATP. And so when this happens, you might improve your sleep and you're definitely going to improve cellular repair. When you are sleeping, that's when that happens. That's why a lot of us want to ask you, how many hours are you sleeping? Is it deep sleep? I'm wearing my Aura ring. It'll probably tell me I'm super hyper today. Sleep is important. It's where restoration really happens. And you're not going to do well if you're not sleeping. So So where insulin and cortisol come back down and normalize. It helps you with weight loss, so many things. So, and then of course we want to support cognitive and brain health, a healthy circulatory system, and a cardiovascular system. And you're going to notice all of these are intertwined here. And so the third activator is NAD. If you haven't heard about NAD, you're living under a rock lately. It is the new kid on the block, yet it's an old kid on the block. It just depends where you are in the anti-aging world and learning. And so you're going to notice that our product is not an NAD product. You're not going to be taking straight NAD. What we have decided to do is support the NAD pathway, because so many people are taking NAD products and they're getting stuck. And it's because there are other things that are going on. And so you're revving this system, and this conveyor belt is just kind of getting stuck. And so instead, this is what I love about it, we're activating the NAD system inside of our cells. And so you're going to support healthy longevity. You're going to improve your mental focus and concentration. You're boosting the body's support system for having a healthy inflammatory response, okay? So you can't have no inflammation whatsoever. You've got to have some so that your body goes, oh, I need to do this or that. But we don't want to light a fire and then just let it burn, okay? There's the biggest difference there. And we want to maintain healthy cholesterol levels. Everybody thinks that cholesterol is bad. We need cholesterol. It's what we make our hormones from. It's what we make so many things. Our brain is, fat. So we need to help out. It's the good fat. It's not the visceral fat that's going on inside of our bodies. But the main pathway that we want to turn on are the sirtuins. We want them to be helping us slow down the aging process here. So the three of those activators are called our tri-synergizers, okay? And so those of you who are science geeks, take a picture really fast, but what we were able to show is the upregulation of certain genes that help in this cellular pathways that are needed. So that's what I love about this company. I sit on the science advisory board. They are all about science and doing the studies and watching the different gene activations that are happening. And so quick summary, we have protandim NRF2, helps reduce the oxidative stress theory of aging. We have NRF1, that is the mitochondrial theory of aging. And then we have the NAD, which is helping our sirtuins. And the three of them are called tri-synergizers. So three different activators here. This should be our cornerstone, in my opinion. This is covering so many roads for those of us that are having the desire for health optimization. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just switch to another class here, and it's collagen. And again, you will probably be living under a rock if you haven't heard about collagen. And it's important. It's what holds us up. If we didn't have collagen, we'd just be, lying on the ground. It makes up so many functions in the body. I'm going to go to this slide and I'll go back up. This is a great picture where it shows it's not just skin, hair, and nails, y'all. It's your cell, how the cell is formed and its structure. So collagen is imperative for us to have and to keep healthy. And unfortunately, as we age, instead of making, huge 4x4s, we're like toothpicks and they're fraying and they break. And so you want to have healthy collagen. And so the difference here is we want to take this, and this is just showing the NRF2 and the liquid collagen together because that is something that was studied. We have a study on this. You're doing this in order to make collagen, to replenish collagen, to help collagen. And so this is what's called our Healthy Glow Essentials, if you've heard of this. But best thing to help with your, to reduce stress and stay balanced and help your collagen out is this way. And so the difference here, because some of you might be taking a collagen product and all you're doing is replenishing. You're taking amino acids. The difference here is you're doing three things. You're activating, you're replenishing, and you're maintaining. So it's got 10 different amino acids, And then you have vitamin C, you have ruby red quinoa extract. You've got these ingredients in here. It tastes great. That's the biggest question I get is it disgusting? And that's because a lot of things out there are gross. I'm so thankful this comes in a single serve bottle, because I would probably drink too much if it came in something I had to measure out. But no, it tastes great and it works really well. I am going to throw in one picture because it's near and dear to my heart. And this is my mom, who had a basal cell cancer taken off her face. And this is 30 days on the collagen. I had to throw this here because it looks like I Botoxed her face, which I didn't. I didn't do any microderm. I didn't do anything. This is just straight up 30 days of our liquid collagen. And she was already on the NRF2 Protandim. So, and then let's go to something else that I know most of you want to hear about tonight, and is, can we activate weight loss? And I'm going to tell you, yes, you can. And so you can actually help activate GLP-1 release from your L cells in your gut. So I like science. Of course, if you don't see anatomy from me, something is wrong. But I'm also going to hit this. Diet is the most important influencer of the gut. So prebiotics, probiotics, what you're eating can either be medicine or poison. So pick which one you're going to do every day. So our GI system is not just in the middle. It starts in the mouth and it goes all the way to your bottom, to your rectum, okay? And then you're going to see a slide to the right, and that's kind of just looking at what your mucosal cells look like. I like this picture because then you can think of the little fingers up there, and that's where all your probiotics will kind of sit. You need prebiotics to kind of help that milieu, create a good space for them to do their magic. And then you can see how much in close proximity it is to your blood system. And that's why there's that axis of the gut to the brain. And so you're going to see that on this slide. So if I took a little picture inside your colon, you're going to notice that you have these L cells. Your L cells are what release GLP-1, okay? And there's a straight connection to your brain. So I want you to think about this and why we're seeing such results when we increase GLP-1 production, or if you are taking GLP-1, okay? And then you're going to see some key peptides there that I have written out for you. The GLP-1 and the PYY, those are really important. And this is a system that we're just touching the surface in medicine on this, and how to really help people lose weight, okay? As well as maintaining a healthy weight. All of our cells inside of our body have a GLP-1 receptor. And that's why we are seeing such incredible results when people are increasing their GLP-1. So I like this slide. It's busy, but you're going to notice why some people say the things that they say when they're on GLP-1 is they're noticing that food noise is going down, and that their brain fog might be going down, that they're noticing like their GI is working a little bit better. And that's because we are slowing down. And so there's allowing of absorption of nutrition better, digestion better. So there's so many effects. I want to make sure that we're getting through everything so we can hear from Shawn. But I like this. And the main reason why I take a natural, I take this, is because of that pancreas slide right there. I want to help my pancreas because I want to reduce the work that my insulin has to do. And I want to really, really work on my beta cells, which are the cells that make insulin. I want them to be healthy. When they stay healthy, my insulin stays healthy, my body stays healthy. It's that homeostasis. That's the main reason. But there are so many reasons to activate GLP-1. And I'm going to take a moment here. Those of you who are taking the medication, we can have a conversation. I don't want anyone to ever feel poor that they're taking it. It is an incredible tool that we have to use. And unfortunately, with social media, it has taken off in directions that I want to, reel back in. And I've been a big voice to help each person individually. but you're never going to hear me badmouth that. But I also want to just encourage you to know there is something on the market, this product particular, MB Core and MB Enhance, that can help increase your production of GLP-1. So this is an activator. You are not taking GLP-1 when you use this system. You're activating your body to release GLP-1. And then there's even more data coming out on how it's helping your microbiome and your peptide balance. So we'll get into that even later. But I just want you to know that the MB system is around and it helps increasing. It's been shown to naturally increase GLP-1 production by 140%. And that then helps balance your hunger hormones, okay? And so it comes in 2 capsules in the morning you're going to take on an empty stomach. And then later on in the day, or half an hour to an hour later, you're going to mix the powder, which is the Enhance. It has tons of fiber in it. So if you're not used to taking fiber, you're going to start slow on this. And you can mix it in anything. So I put mine with my daily wellness or with my Axio or in my smoothie. And I like doing mine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because that's my witching hour, where I might want to go run and find a snack in my cupboards. And so this is great because it keeps me nice and full until dinner time. And so the MB Core is directly activating the GLP-1 pathway, and the MB Enhance is indirectly activating it by helping that microbiome that I kind of was talking about. And so there's just another little great slide talking about what's happening inside of our body. We do want to increase our GLP-1 receptors as well. And then these are some of the benefits that you can see. I'll let you look through those, but I think the biggest one that people really like is just reducing food noise. There's never been anything out there that reduces the food noise as activating the GLP-1 pathway. And there's incredible synergy when you use Protandim and the MB system. We are activating 9 additional fat and fatty acid pathways. This is really important to our metabolism. And we are also activating additional antioxidant pathways. And we actually know we can label some of the genes that we're doing with our product. So this restores, rebuilds, renews organ strength, survival, and communication inside of our gut. And so I'm going to finish with my last one because so many talk about I take soda and energy drinks out of people's hands as if they come into my office with one of them. They know not to do this. This is NRF2 activation for the brain. You've got nutrition for the brain in here. There's methylated B vitamins, quercetin, DMAE, L-theanine, so many things. And so it's incredible to be able to use this and have incredible brain function. So let me pull this out and I will let Shawn take over. I know I went quickly, but I wanted to be able to leave time to talk about how incredible this opportunity is. And the reason why you see me here is because of that. I get to share this outside of my practice, inside of my practice, and help bless people all over the world who can't really sit in front of me. And, there's only so many patients in a day I can see, but this allows me to then do webinars like this, to talk to people, to help them on a grander scale. And I absolutely love that because it's not a prescription. It's natural, and that's the beauty about this. And I will tell you, I'm so thankful that I got to dig the well before I needed to take a drink out of it. And so that's why in 2018, I could retire my husband. It's why I could say I want my dream of my own practice, is because I started building this practice, this company, and I listened. People said, this is great. You should always have more than one stream of income. And I thought, nah, I'm a doctor. I'll be fine. Yeah, no, it's so good to have multiple streams of income. I'm being to be straight with you. And so this is where you're going to be able to hear from Shawn, who has incredible knowledge about how this company works, and who, I couldn't do what you did in the banking. So I'm excited for you to talk about that. But thank you for letting me talk about science, because that's my passion. and knowing that this is something that anybody can do. You don't have to be a doctor. I think it's actually easier to be a doctor, not to be a doctor to do this.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for blessing us with your knowledge, because I definitely don't have that. Yeah, my background is in the financial realm. I kept going to college, you guys, because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated. So I kept collecting degrees, and I finally got to the point where I was like, I better stop collecting debt as well and figure out what I'm going to do. And so after graduate school, I got in with Wells Fargo and got my security licenses. I worked on the transition of strong mutual funds into the Wells Fargo portfolio, and I absolutely loved what I was doing. Right around that same time, we had our first daughter, Callista. And after Callista was born, Michelle, my wife, started having some issues that we needed to figure out, because they were getting worse and worse. And medically, as good as Western medicine is, there's a lot of stuff that still is unknown. And so we went down this health journey with her, seeing some of the best doctors in the world, from the Mayo Clinic to the Cleveland Clinic, and they could rule out a lot of what it wasn't, but they could never tell us what was actually happening inside of her body and how we could stay on top of it. So in 2006, we made the decision to move from Wisconsin to South Dakota. Unfortunately, with my job, the only two places that did what I did was Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, and San Francisco. And so I moved over to Citigroup when we got here in Sioux Falls, and I worked on corporate treasury for a while. We were taking jobs out of New York because banking didn't need to be done in New York anymore. And we could pay people about 10 to 20 cents on the dollar compared to what we were paying people in New York. So literally what my job was to go to New York, sit next to somebody, dump all the information out of their head, document the processes, they would get fired or let go. So you can imagine I probably wasn't the most liked guy in the room, especially if I came sitting next to you at your desk. The last couple of years that I worked at Citigroup, I managed just under $1 billion worth of defaulted student loans. And anytime anything went to court, I was the person that represented LifeVantage along with some attorneys, because they considered me what's called custodian of record. Simply put, it means that I could answer any questions that a judge or attorney had about the process. And so again, I wasn't in an environment walking into the courtroom where I was the most liked person, right? And it just got hard. It got really, really hard. And towards the end of that time, somebody sat down next to me at my desk. $1 billion portfolio at Citigroup isn't a big portfolio, and they wanted to consolidate what I did into the credit card default side and move everything to Kansas City. I knew what was happening, and I couldn't tell my team. Some of these people had worked for the company for over 30 years, and they were going to have about a 2 to 3 month window to make a decision of if they wanted to go to a different department or take a severance package. And so we were on this journey of trying to figure out my wife's health, 2 young kids. I wasn't happy at work, and we wanted something different, but I didn't know how to get off this hamster wheel in the corporate world, and LifeVantage fell into our lap. Thankfully, a friend of ours who's a dietitian at the health hospital here in Sioux Falls, she brought this to us, and she said, you have to hear this presentation that a doctor's doing coming up. And we had watched that ABC Primetime Investigative Report. If you haven't seen that, ask the person that invited you on here to see that, because that really captured our attention. But I'll never forget being in that meeting, and I was the guy in the back of the room with my arms folded, thinking this sounds too good to be true. But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, what if? What if even what they're telling me is half true, and we didn't act on this information? And one of the reasons we decided to integrate the products into our health strategy was because my wife's biological father died in his early 40s of heart disease. And we had a cardiologist that was explaining the science like Melody just did. And it captured our attention really big. And we wanted that as kind of like an insurance policy so she didn't walk down the same route. The cool thing is all the other stuff that she had been dealing with started to vanish. We weren't in the ER in the middle of the night because there was so much pressure on our brain. I one time had a doctor come out when we were at the emergency room in the middle of the night, and he said, I don't know what's going on. We might have to do exploratory brain surgery. And that was the last thing that I wanted to hear, and the last thing that we were going to do at that point in this journey, because we wanted to see if there were ways that naturally we could get our body back in balance. And guess what? Protandim NRF2 did just that. When the body's working in the way it was designed to work, it can do amazing things, you guys. And that's what got us so fired up about seeing the product line and seeing LifeVantage. I had a negative connotation, I'll be completely transparent with you, attached to network marketing. I didn't have a good reason for it. I didn't know anybody that had been burnt by it or somebody that had a bad experience. I just had a negative connotation. But when I started to understand how this business model works on the business side, it blew me away. And I'll go over a few of those aspects with you. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I just want to paint the picture of where we were. Because where we're at today, 14 and a half years later, is completely different on every level. When those people sat down next to me at that desk and I knew my job was going away, I knew I had one of three choices. I could move our family to Kansas City and I could keep that job. I could take another management position at the company, or I could take a severance package. The cool thing is that we had started to dig the well about 9 months prior with LifeVantage. We got so fired up about the potential of sharing this information with other people to help them with their health. We just naturally had the business side working for us. And after a few months, we really had to step back, because our joke was, if we're professional network marketers, we'd get a $20 commission check. We'd go get a bottle of wine and a Redbox movie. Remember, this was 14 years ago. So the checks were a little bit bigger than that. And we weren't operating it like a business. And so we had to have that honest conversation with ourselves. What if we treated this truly like a business? What could be possible? And Michelle saw it as that ticket that we are praying for to get me out of the corporate world. So we dug in and we worked hard. And when that 9-month period came up where I had to make that decision, I would have walked away from Citigroup with $0 and been happy. And they paid me to walk away. And so we've been doing this full time since January of 2012. And if I could download from my head all the people that we've impacted across this 14-year span, it would blow your mind. Like, we're talking tens of thousands of people across the globe. People like Dr. Melody Rodarte that we've gotten to know and travel the world with. Like, those are the things that I get so excited about when I talk about this, because we are at a point in this company that's going to truly change things once again. We just recently got into a partnership with another company called Love Biome. A really young, a really new company that has an extraordinary product called P84 that is all about activation, all about what Dr. Melody Rodarte just explained to you on, like Protandim NRF2, Protandim NRF1. We're talking about reducing oxidative stress, upregulating, downregulating different genes. I don't know the science as well as she does, but what I do know is that oxidative stress is bad. And if we can find natural ways in the body to get it working like it's designed to work to lower oxidative stress, that's great. And we're, in a couple weeks, going to have the opportunity to integrate this new product that's about the gut and activation within the gut. You guys, your body is constantly talking to you, whether it's through your energy, your focus, your digestion, your recovery. But what most people don't realize is that it comes down to two systems that control it all, your gut and your cells. And that's why I'm going to enjoy the opportunity to start educating people on these different activators and how they can help. And that will be another point that we have another tool in our tool belt to help people and make them better versions of themselves and get their body doing what it was designed to do. But on the business side, I just want to take a few moments, because this is something I truly didn't understand. You guys, I was used to moving anywhere from $4 billion to $40 billion around the world when I did corporate treasury with Citigroup. We managed all the cash movement for the entire company every single day. And so it was hard for me to fathom that for a $600 investment or a $1,000 investment that you could potentially have your hands on a multi-million-dollar company. That didn't make sense to me. But I had faith in what these products could do. And we started to see that by simply being a voice for the products, we could get that paycheck. And it was a little bit more than a $20 check to go get a Redbox movie and a bottle of wine. And so that's what I just want to spend the next couple minutes talking to you about is what if? What if everything that Dr. Melody was saying about the products is true? What if this is something that you've been searching for to get out of a job maybe you aren't satisfied with, or maybe there's a little bit too much month at the end than there is money, and you're looking for just something supplemental as well too that you can start to share and be a voice for the products like we have. One of the things I love about this company is that it is publicly traded. We have a board of directors. We're on the NASDAQ. One of our recent board members was Erin Brockovich. And I'll tell you what, if there's any woman in the United States that would never put her name behind something that isn't all that and then some, it's Erin Brockovich. That woman is a pioneer. She's a fighter. She's a champion for people, for making people better versions of themselves. And so I love that we get to lock arms with people like that to educate people on something that they probably don't know enough about right now. We've got an amazing compensation plan. This is truly about activation, not supplementation. We're getting the body to do the work. I talked about being publicly traded. When I held my security licenses, it gave me the ability to look at the financials and see this company and where we're at. We've been debt-free for a long time, you guys. We've held on to about $20 million in cash for an opportunity that just presented itself that you're going to actually be able to watch or become a part of. And that's what I'm so excited about right now. I'm not going to go through every aspect of the compensation plan. You can get paid for sharing the product, being that voice, for building and growing a team if that's what you're into, and leading a movement. And this isn't for everybody. I would say it's an absolute no-brainer. If you understand the science behind these products, you're going to integrate some of them into your health strategy. What I don't know is who's going to bed tonight saying, I'm looking for something different. I want my chance. I want my turn. And I can tell you, even 14 years in, this is one of those moments that can change things for people. What I have on the screen right now is called the income disclosure statement. And I love that third column right there because the ranks in the company go from consultant to presidential consultant. And I want you to take a moment and just say, if there was an opportunity for me to be a voice of these products, what amount on there would be worth me sharing this with other people? And it might be initially on that lower end where it's like, you know, maybe consultant 3, $160 on average a month, or senior consultant 1, $316. When I managed the defaulted student loan portfolio, I knew this about bankruptcies in the United States. The average bankruptcy would be avoided with an extra couple $100 a month. That's crazy, you guys. An extra couple $100 a month is the difference between somebody surviving this month and claiming bankruptcy. And if that isn't you, I promise you, you have friends or family that are going to bed tonight worried about what they're going to do to make it through October, to make it through November, make it through the holidays. And then you look at like senior consultant 3, $934 a month. Like, that's great supplemental income. How many people would that impact if you had an extra $1,000 a month? What things could you do a little bit differently, or what stressors would be relieved a little bit with that extra $1,000 a month? And then when you start looking at like managing consultant 3 and EC1, $6,700 a month, over $14,000 a month. Those are the numbers that I didn't understand were possible in this profession. And it was because of lack of knowledge on my part. I've done a lot of different businesses, from self-owned stuff to online stuff, the corporate world. I'm telling you, this business, when it's done right with the right people and the right products, is one of the most extraordinary ways that we've ever done business. And I don't know if I'll have another one like this. It's incredible. And then you start looking at those higher ends, $40,000, $60,000, $130,000 a month. That's life changing. That's generational changing. And it's for everybody. There were certain jobs that I couldn't even hire people for in the corporate environment unless they had a master's degree. Couldn't even interview them. With this, it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your prior experience is. You get to lock arms with people like Dr. Melody Rodarte that can help explain the science side. I'll lock arms with you and I'll explain to people why this profession is one of the most extraordinary ways that I've ever done business. You just have to be a connection between information and the people that have the answers. And that's the amazing thing about network marketing, is we all do this together. We have a direct incentive to help other people be successful. The more people I can impact, the more I'm impacted. And I can tell you that's the complete opposite of what the corporate environment was like, right? Every single raise, every single promotion was dependent on me separating myself from everybody else that I was a peer with. I didn't have an advantage by telling other people why I was good at what I did. In this business, success is determinant upon helping other people be successful. Here's some of the beautiful people in our organization at those different levels. Jolene Miller, SC3. The average SC3 earns around $934 a month. Sharon LaBraca, she's been crushing it. At MC1, the average MC1's making $6,700 a month. Marisa, EC3, the average EC3 earning over $43,000 a month. You guys, what if? What if you could join the company today, lock arms with us, be that bridge, be that connector, and let people decide what they want to do with it? Imagine how many people you could impact and what it could impact on your life. Again, I think it's a no-brainer. You're going to incorporate the products, right? If you're looking for a baseline suggestion, to me, that's Healthy Glow, collagen with NRF2, right? Get your body back in balance. Get it doing what it was designed to do. Age gracefully. I don't know anybody that I've ever talked to that was like, I don't want to age gracefully. You know, I just want to see what's going to happen. Let's leave everything unchecked, right? You wouldn't do that to your car. Would you drive 20,000 miles on old oil and expect your car is going to eventually not break down? Our body's a little bit more important than the oil in your car. This is the business pack. If I had to get in today, this is the pack I would get in, because it comes with the sampling of all the product lines, right? Create those stories for yourself and see which products you fall in love with. There's a bunch of different options you can get involved with. We've got the high-speed health pack. There's different stacks you can get back with the person that introduced this to you, and just let them know where you stand, what you want to do. But I'm telling you, this partnership that happened between Love Biome and LifeVantage that you're going to hear more and more about, and you're going to hear about like the healthy edge, right? And those different ways that we can upregulate, downregulate genes within the gut. It's going to be an amazing, amazing ride. And so I don't want anybody to miss the opportunity that we have if they're questioning what they're doing today. My kids now are 21 and 18, and I thank God all the time that they didn't go through their memory years of me in the corporate world. Because again, I wasn't the version of myself that I should have been for them. I didn't show up for them the way I should have. When I was at home, I was more worried about the next fire that was going to happen at work. And I got to the point I wasn't even enjoying weekends, you guys. I'd be sitting there watching football, and I'd be thinking about that fire that was going to be there for me on Monday. It wasn't a matter of if, it was how big that fire was going to be and how long it would take me to put it out. If they needed me in Philadelphia on Tuesday, they might tell me on Friday, and they didn't care what my kids were doing. Right after I left the corporate world, you guys, I left in January, and that October, my youngest daughter was in kindergarten, and we got to go to the pumpkin patch with her. And I'll never forget this moment. As a 5-year-old, She was cognizant enough to realize that some of her classmates didn't have parents there, or if they did, they only had one. She looked up at Michelle, and then she looked up at me, and she said, "Thanks for being here." That was a choice I didn't have 9 months prior. I wouldn't have been there. And again, I'll say it over and over again. This profession, when it's done right with the right people and the right products, it's the most extraordinary way I've ever done business. And I don't know if I'll see a different way that's better. So I'll challenge you this. Ask yourself again, what if? What if this is that opportunity you've been looking for? What if this is your turn, your chance? What are you going to do with it? Because I know what drove me at that meeting 14 and a half years ago, sitting in the back with my arms folded, was that question, what if? What if I didn't do anything with this information and I figured out it was amazing and changed people's lives? What if? And so we took that risk. We took that leap. I didn't know the first thing about network marketing. I didn't know the first thing about nutraceuticals. But in business, I do know this. If there's a proven process that other people have shown to work, I can do the same things that they did and generate similar results. And that's what we did. We got dirty. We got to work. Our life was upside down for a little bit. But I was told from one of our early mentors this. At first, it might seem like you're drastically underpaid for the effort that you're putting in. But he promised me this. If you do the right behaviors for a long enough time, there's going to be this tipping point that happens where you'll be so drastically overpaid for the effort you've put in, it's not even funny. And I was like, game on, let's do this. The best thing about this, though, honestly, you guys, as a community, it's the people. This attracts some of the most amazing people in the world, from medical professionals like Dr. Melody, stay-at-home moms, people that are trying to escape the corporate environment like me. But we have one mission, and that's to make people better versions of themselves, whether it's with the products and the health, whether it's on the compensation side and the financial side, or if it's just personal development. Those are the areas that we lock arms with to make people better versions of themselves. So do me a favor, get back to the person that introduced this to them. Let them know where you stand. Are you ready to lock arms today, be a voice of the products? Do you just want to integrate the products in your health strategy? Where are you at? We are ready to run. We are going to do amazing things over the days leading into 2026. And I don't want one person left behind that wants to raise their hand and say, I want to be a part of this movement. I want to change people's lives. So with that, Dr. Melody, thank you again so much for your time, your energy, your expertise. You're always amazing. If you have any questions, again, get back to the person that introduced this to you. If they don't know the answer, they will connect you with somebody that does. I promise you that. And let's go change the world. See you guys.